Okay, so I'm with my great-grandmother. I'm going to ask her a couple questions about love. My first question is, what is love to you?
Love to me is always thinking of the other person first, and it's a warm, good feeling. Loving all my children, grandchildren, great grandchildren.
Okay. How do you think your society has impacted the way you express love?
I think the way I grew up, everybody loved each other a lot more than they do now. There wasn't near as much hate in the world, and I think that that comes from family, which I think has broken down and something we need to fix.
Okay. Were there specific ways you were allowed to love? Like, when you loved, were there only, like, you had to respect each other? Like was it a lot more strict than it is now?
Yes, it was a lot more strict than it is now. We were not allowed, we were supposed to love I had two brothers, and I was supposed to love them, even when they were nasty and teased me half to death. But you still respected them, even though sometimes I didn't like them very much, but I still loved them.
Okay. How do you think society has changed adolescents in the way they love?
Again, I would say I think the breakdown of the family. There's so many children that do not have two parents, and a lot of them don't even know who their parents are, and there's just not, they're not taught the love and respect that they need to be taught when they're young, and that comes from when they're very little.
Okay. And my last question is, how was love portrayed in your society when you were a teenager compared to how it is portrayed now? Like your high school love.
Well, I think it's part of the same thing. We were taught, we were learned early to learn to respect other people, even whether we disagreed with them or whether they were not of the same race that we were. We didn't have to actually love them in the respect that we show. I mean, we have to hug them and kiss them and that kind of thing. But we had to show them respect, which in a way is love.
Okay. Okay, I'm here with my grandma, and she's going to answer the same questions my great-grandma did. Number 1, what is love to you?
What kind of love? Are you talking about any kind?
Relationship.
It's an emotion that makes you feel good, makes you feel special, puts somebody else before you. If it's a returned love, it can be an everlasting love. If you're talking about like an emotional relationship love, as far as like guy girl
Dating, yeah.
right, then but there's other kinds of love too. I mean, the love you have for your family, pets,
Okay. How do you think your society has impacted the way you express love?
Ooh, it's definitely changed. I think society now expresses it more freely, without a doubt, but also with less emotion or commitment. Yeah, I love you. It's so easy to say, but to really mean it. I mean, you didn't hear people express it that freely in the past. You just didn't. I mean, it just wasn't done. And now it's like everything's right out there.
Okay. Were there specific ways you were allowed to love? like, do you think it was, when you were dating and everything, do you think that it was a lot more structured and strict than it is now?
Oh yeah, there was more restrictions when you dated, when you went out. I think there were things that you could and couldn't do, and that was more enforceable. Whereas now it is not. It's more freely given. Whereas before it was, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. But it just, it wasn't as easy.
Okay. How do you think society has changed adolescents in the way they love?
They're ready to grow up too soon. We didn't used to think about it as early. I mean, we were in high school before we thought about dating or anything else. And now you see it in as early as like 2nd and 3rd grade, having boyfriend, girlfriend, and that kind of thing. And you just didn't used to do that. I mean, it just, part of that, I think, is the way it's brought out on television, even on TV and in movies and stuff like that. It was always restricted, and especially in what they could show and what they can't show. And now they can show about anything. So definitely you see it younger, without a doubt.
Okay, so that kind of relates to my next question. How was love portrayed in your society when you were a teenager compared to how it is portrayed now?
In society,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you could kiss on TV, but you couldn't, you didn't see naked people in bed together or portrayed that way. You just didn't do it. Not in movies, TV, you didn't see that as we were, as when I was growing up. Now you see that a lot. Commercials even. You didn't see a lot of bra commercials and contraceptive. You didn't see that on TV. Whereas
So then
now it's very common.
When you were in high school, do you think just like being 15, 16, do you think that it was a lot different?
Sex was a word you didn't talk about. You did not talk about it. It was a behind closed doors conversation, kind of. Whereas now, obviously, you do talk about it more. It's just, it's just more readily out there in society.
Okay. Okay, now I'm with my dad. I'm going to ask him the same 5 questions. What is love to you?
Love is everlasting, is a true heartfelt emotion between 2 individuals or multiple individuals that's expressed to us by God.
Okay. How do you think your society has impacted the way you express love?
Our society needs to express more love because of all the shootings and traumas and things that are going on a repeated basis. So they all need Jesus.
Okay. Were there specific ways you were allowed to love when you were in relationships?
Yes, by one of the biggest ones, by spending time with each other.
Okay. How do you think society has changed adolescents in the way they love?
We've allowed you guys to become disconnected from society with all of your technology that I'd like to throw out the window.
Okay. Last question. How was love portrayed in your society when you were a teenager compared to how it is portrayed now?
There were still shows that had love in them instead of cops finding dead people and shows like that, like Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. There was love everywhere you saw, expressly expressed by my grandparents.
Okay. So then, with saying that, would you say that society did affect the way, high school relationships, when you were a teenager, when you were dating girls in high school? Do you think that the way love was portrayed then is different than the way it's portrayed for teenagers now?
Yeah, I think you guys need more love because it's absent. It's not in your relationships. It's all about physical being and being with. It's all about instant gratification, to where love, when in my society, when I was growing up, it was about building the relationship and then getting to that point. So there were steps involved in climbing that ladder to gratification or satisfaction, to where you guys expect it to be a click of a button. And there it is. So a lot has changed.
Okay, I'm with Christian, and I'm going to ask him the same 5 questions I asked everybody else. Number 1, what is love to you?
Love is two people who come together and share a deep understanding of each other.
Okay. How do you think your society has impacted the way you express love?
I think society has impacted it in the way that love is almost outlined by people, and you have to conform to that outline, or else you're known as weird, or that odd couple.
Okay. Were there specific ways you were allowed to love? Or you are allowed to love?
I don't understand the question exactly.
Like, do you think that there are more boundaries for your relationships now, or do you think that there's it's more?
I think as we grow older, towards adulthood, that we gain more abilities in relationships, rather than, when you're kids, it's you can't hang out as often, but when you're 16, you can drive wherever you want, you can see that significant other as much as you want. So I think we're allowed to love more and more as we grow older.
Okay. How do you think society has changed adolescents in the way they love?
I think they put this mirage on that you must be in a healthy relationship, and it must be, with the popular girl, and it must be, or the, popular boy, or whoever your significant other is, that, it must be perfect, not, if you're out in public, you can't touch each other. It's just more of a friendship out in public, but then, and you have to flaunt each other on social media and things of that nature. It's not as playful anymore. It's not you don't get to be yourself anymore.
Okay, and then how do you think love was portrayed when you were younger, and how do you think it's portrayed now that you are slightly more mature?
Definitely when I was a kid, it was this is going to be a fun walk in the park, and we're going to have a good time. There's going to be no issues. But as I've grown older, I've noticed that that's not the case, and that things are really hard, and it's hard to keep a relationship together and intact. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so after interviewing these 4 people from the 4 generations, I do believe that love over time has not changed, but that society has changed the way we express love and the way that we feel comfortable loving other people in our lives. I believe that love has not changed over time, because there always has been that one love type that people always, I think, strive for, which is storge. And Lee's definition of storge is very much so friend-like. You have mutual respect, you care for the other person. It's very slow burning, you don't rush into things, it's not purely based on physical attraction, it's purely just, you're caring for the other person, you feel comfortable around that person and everything like that. So I do believe that that love itself has not changed over time, because it has been that one love type. Now, I also think that society has affected the way that we love and the way that we express love towards other people, because like my father and my great-grandmother had mentioned, is the violence in society now. Which, how they had mentioned, it does come down to society and the people that surround you and the people that have a great effect on you, because those are the people that influence you ultimately, and society is the thing that influences you. It influences you into what you feel comfortable doing, and who you feel comfortable with, and things like that. So I do believe that love itself has not changed over time, but that society has affected the way we express love.